David Pollack, always good form. Somehow a smooth segue. College Game Day, ESPN college football analyst, and they have the big game in Columbus, the rivalry week, the game Ohio State and Michigan, and that'll be coming up game day, 9 a.m. till noon on Saturday on the Mothership and ESPN app. If you didn't go to Georgia, where were you going?
I would have gone to Clemson or Ohio State. Those are probably my next two that I would have gone to.
What was the recruiting story? You got a good recruiting story?
Well, Dan, I wasn't really that highly recruited. I wasn't like some of these.
Well, wait a minute. Clemson and Ohio State and Georgia.
Well, I think I had 4 or 5 offers coming out of high school, but Clemson was the only school actually that recruited me on defense. Ohio State, Georgia recruited me on offense. But I got a good recruiting story for Ohio State. Dude, I'm from the South, Dan. You know that. I'm from Georgia, lived in Georgia my whole life. I went on a recruiting trip to Ohio State, and I flew up there during the season to go watch a game. And I got off the plane, and there was like 6 inches of snow. And I was like, what in Sam heck is that, Mom? Like, absolutely no deal breaker. I'm out right now. And then guess what? 5 years later or 4 years later, I'm drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals, and God has a sense of humor. So it's amazing.
Maybe you shouldn't have flown up. If you didn't fly up if you had gone up in September, you might have gone, God, this is beautiful. The foliage, everything's great. They're
I'll never forget, Dan, with the Bengals, man. I'll never forget. Everybody was complaining about camp and like, it's so hot. I'm like, what? This is spring ball in Georgia. Like, this is like, and when the weather changes, especially, us, the bigger guys, like the weather changes, your energy level goes up and you can run all day. Your lungs feel so good. And I was like, this is amazing. But yeah, first time I ever got on an airplane was my flight, my official visit to Ohio State.
Do you get accused of preferential treatment for Georgia, like Kirk Herbstreit, maybe with Ohio State?
Oh, 100%. And there's no, like, it's funny to watch your timelines on social media because, by the way, I love it. I love the hatred on social media. Like, I absolutely think it's comical. I think it's funny. I think it's awesome. But if I pick Georgia, I got a bunch of a segment of people that you're a homer, blah, blah, blah. And then if I pick against Georgia, I'm Benedict Arnold. and I've actually gotten in. My wife, several years ago, got in an altercation. This was like 5 years ago in my living room. My wife is the most passive person ever. One of my friends' wives are like, what's wrong with you? You played at Georgia. How could you pick against Georgia? They made you what you are, blah, blah, blah. And it was like Georgia fans, every time I pick against them, they get upset. I'm like, listen, when I grew up in the business, I watched a couple of guys, and I'll never forget watching Lou Holtz. And he coached at South Carolina, and he coached at Arkansas, and he coached at Notre Dame. And every time he talked about South Carolina, Arkansas, and Notre Dame, he picked them, and he loves them. And obviously, I get it. But I remember those moments when I was growing up in broadcasting. I'm like, I'm going to make sure I don't do that. I'm going to make sure I pick the best team, who I think is going to win, and let the chips fall where they may. And Dan, it doesn't matter what we do. You know how this works. If you pick somebody, you could say the nicest thing in the history of the world about the other school and pick them. As soon as you pick them, you think their team's trash.
Yeah.
And they're going to say something about it, and they're going to hit you up, and it really doesn't matter.
What happened with your wife and the guest who came over? Almost get ugly?
Nah, I wish, man. I wish my wife could bring them things. My wife's like 5'8", $125. She would get stomped out. But she was just like, seriously, why do you feel that way? And the other lady was pushing back. It was a nice little, almost a cat fight in December in the Pollack living room.
All right, what stood out last night? What should we be keeping an eye on with these rankings, and which team or teams?
I think USC obviously is in a huge position to do something good when you've got Notre Dame on the schedule. You just beat a ranked UCLA. The Pac-12, good chance to beat Oregon next week to get another feather in your cap. So I think USC is that team, if somebody slips up, who could be lurking. The interesting thing to me is it depends who slips up, and it depends how much space we have between everybody else, because if TCU loses a close one this week and then wins the Big 12, are they still in? If Ohio State loses to Michigan, are they still above USC? I mean, I think USC is going to be that team that everybody's looking at like, please go ahead and lose to Notre Dame so we make sure that we have a chance. Because I don't think Michigan, with their non-conference schedule and the way they haven't been necessarily as explosive offensively, that there is a team that's going to go, oh, yeah, if they lost close to Ohio State, they're in the dance. Colorado State, Hawaii, UConn, when UConn's your best out-of-conference game and it's football season – you got a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, so their out-of-conference schedule, I think, could hurt them. But USC is definitely the team that you look at that says has a chance to rise and growth opportunity.
What do you think happens in the Ohio State-Michigan game?
I tell you what, the more physical team wins this game. That is just, you look at whoever runs the ball the best, whoever's the most physical. Like I talked about, the weather is cold. To me, what I've seen so far from Michigan, I think Michigan is the more physical team. Ohio State, I'm still learning about them. Offensively, they don't push enough guys around and create enough space. And I think Michigan's D-line, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. But and I'll never forget, I still will say this till I die. The hardest thing in college football is to go on the road and win in tough atmospheres. So is Michigan explosive enough? Ohio State has the revenge factor as well. But I think Michigan, to me, what I've seen so far has been the more physical team.
Yeah, they got a lot of injuries there. And going into Ohio State, but it's almost like Ohio State wanted to be more like an SEC team. That they didn't want the 3 yards in a cloud of dust, that they wanted it wide open and made a concerted effort. Michigan is still sort of that 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's Harbaugh's personality. And now Ryan Day, they want it. It's like when Kiffin got to Alabama with Saban. Help me open it up. That's how we're going to get recruits. That's how we're going to keep up with everybody else there. But you think Ohio State having a wide open offense, but not that physicality, will keep Michigan in this game.
Well, and here's the thing that I haven't heard enough people talk about. Like, C.J. Stroud is a machine, Dan. Like, I could take you through so many of his clips, and I could go, watch this. Watch his touchdown pass to Mbuka in the fourth quarter of Penn State. And you talk about rhythm and timing. The dude is incredible. Like, when the structure of the offense and everything is clean, C.J. Stroud's the best quarterback in the college football. When it's not, and there's a little bit of something off, whether it be a pass rush, the creativity, he doesn't have that Bryce Young creativity where he can play off script and now flip the ball out sidearm. He doesn't run the football really, really good. So if the interior, the weakness of Ohio State's offensive line is guard, center, guard. If those guys can make C.J. Stroud a little bit uncomfortable and make him move his feet, which I think they'll be able to a little bit, then he goes from the best quarterback to an average quarterback. So I think Ohio State's called their game plan this whole year, Dan, with Michigan in mind at the end of the season. They usually throw the football all over the yard, super aggressive, hyper aggressive. I think they've ran the ball more this year at a higher clip and into heavier boxes because they know against Michigan at the end of the year, when physicality matters the most, when it's cold as crap and receivers don't catch the football as well, quarterbacks don't throw it as well, we have to be ready for that moment.
David Pollack from the Mothership, ESPN college football analyst, and game day will be in Columbus. They start at 9 a.m., go to noon on ESPN. I mentioned this to Joel Klatt the other day. If you're Drake May, can't go to the NFL, you're at North Carolina, what if he went out on the open market? What would he be worth on the open?
Oh.
What if Drake May said to Ohio State, C.J. Stroud is going to the pros. I'd like to help you. Could you call your boosters here? The price starts at $10 million.
Wow. I haven't heard anybody say that, by the way. I love what you're saying because I'll say this, man. Like 4 weeks ago, we talked about it on game day. And I was like, dude, this dude is the best in college football. And everybody kind of looked at me a little bit like this. I'm like, look, he does more things better than everybody. Like, he's 6'5", he's 220. He throws into tight windows. He throws under pressure. He scrambles to get time. He spreads it around to multiple receivers. That's an amazing point. And here's what I would do, Dan, if he did that and I was at all these big time schools. Hey, Which one of my boosters are a billionaire? Which one of them are, bro? I need $10 million. I'm going to get you the best quarterback in college football. Like, can you make that happen? I think it would be an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah, but this happened with Caleb Williams when he left Oklahoma. He was the open market. Who wants to give me the most? And USC ponied up to bring in Caleb Williams.
Well, and think about Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers goes the number one player in the country in high school, 3 years ago, gets a boatload of money from Ohio State. And then, Dan, guess what? Free agent market again, and then goes to Texas and gets a boatload of money. Like, to me, that would be the wave of the future. If I'm I'm a business guy, hey, out of high school, take all the money you can take, highest offer. After a year, you can take another high offer and go to somewhere else. So I tell you, I'd hate to be the coaches nowadays having to navigate this crap, but I think Drake May is unreal, and he can do things that that only Drake May can do, and he would definitely claim whatever. I think he could write a blank check. Tennessee's quarterback got $8 million, I think, something like that. Yeah. If he got $8 million, then Drake May is worth at least 10.
Is Lane Kiffin just goofing around here?
I don't know, but how awesome is it? I mean, how amazing is it watching?
But how would you feel if he takes the Auburn job after what he's been doing on social media?
I think he's going to. I think
you
he's
do?
Going to.
Okay.
I do. I think he's going to, but I think what he said specifically was, I haven't taken the Auburn job yet. I'm not going to step down and take the Auburn job. I don't know that he said, I'm not taking the Auburn job, period. I'm not in the mix.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. I just want him to, when you hear the report, he told his team that he had not accepted the Auburn job, and I went, did he say, I'm not going to leave Ole Miss? That's what I want to know. It's semantics is all this is. But if you said on Saturday is Lane Kiffin in Auburn, I would not be surprised.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
And I think for Auburn, it'd be a really good hire. Auburn did something last time. They went outside of the league and got Brian Harsin. I don't think Auburn's doing that again. Auburn's not going to go outside of the league and have the growing pains and then the boosters be upset. But it's interesting. Auburn is one of the most polarizing jobs in all of college football. They've got ridiculous fans, ridiculous resources, unbelievable stadium campus. They have ridiculous access to recruits. They have this is the best job that's on the market, and it's not close. They've won national championships with Gene Chizik. They've done that. They as a team that can win and win big if you can get the right guy. Nick Saban obviously getting a little bit older. Lane Kiffin. I mean, imagine the shots he'd be taking. It would be gorgeous.
But if I said you could have Deion or Lane Kiffin at Auburn.
And Deion wants the job.
Yes.
Deion definitely wants that job. I tell you what, I think Deion's a problem for people. I think Deion. We went there. We got to go to Jackson. It was awesome. We got to go there for game day. And let me tell you something. If you spend any time around Deion, he gonna get the mamas. You think about recruiting the mamas. Primetime gonna walk in there and smooth everybody. He's got such a big smile, a big personality. But here's the thing to know about Deion too. Deion's also got competitive toughness. Deion doesn't put up with crap. They're going to look the same on the practice field. They're going to dress the same. You're going to show up and you're going to practice. Deion got one of the best recruits in the country last year with Travis Hunter, the top recruit in the country, to come to him and play HBCU. Are you kidding? Imagine what he could do at a place like Auburn with that brand and those resources. Ooh, I think
are those
scary.
Your kids behind you over your right shoulder?
Yeah, they just walked in.
All right, I'll let you be dad. Safe travels to Columbus and dress warm, okay?
Hey, you know what? After Montana, Dan, I don't give a crap, bro. My toes are still frozen.
Wait,
hey, Dan,
okay,
I gotta
hold
know.
on. Herb Street got his feet massaged on.
Ooh. Yeah.
On the set.
I think as a teammate, I'm required to be a good teammate. I have no comment, Dan. Okay, I mean, I don't know. I know there's videos and all that stuff, but
he's from Ohio.
He's the toughest dude on set by far. He has his AC unit on when it's 30 degrees. I mean, but -5 was a different animal, Dan. All right, Dan, I got a question for you.
Okay.
I got a question for you, bro. How is your form?
Oh,
you talk
good.
about Prince's form. It's solid. How's yours?
It's great.
Great. Not just good. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to have to put that to the test one day.
Well, I mean, you want to shoot free throws here? I I'll make 7 or 8 out of 10 with my eyes
That's
closed.
That's pretty solid.
With my eyes closed.
I'm not buying that. I'm going to need video evidence of that.
Paulie, would you confirm?
Yeah, we tried it, David, and Dan usually goes about 9 for 10 from the free throw line, but we did it eyes closed. He went 7 for 10 confirmed.
Yeah.
How many years ago was this?
It was less than 6 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you got to know your opponent, David.
Mad props. I couldn't do that.
Yeah. Do you would like to apologize?
I formally and humbly
Fair
apologize.
enough. All right,
I'm sorry.
I'll accept that. Would
Kiss
you
the ring.
Would you massage my feet now? Safe travels to Columbus there, buddy.
All right, see you, brother.
All right, that's David Pollack. See, I mean, don't question it.
Man.
I mean,
No stuff to the king.
yeah.
Doing.
You wouldn't do that in person.
No, he would not.
You know that.
Disappointed.